Played him. We've got some cars coming up along the main straight. Oh! Punched in the face by Evan Rice. No burnouts. Alright, guys. We're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we will have driver interviews. Make sure you stay tuned. I'm here going into turn 1. So he's got the 25 of Brandon Miller behind him, who just went through him a little bit. Sam does have an issue with being low on blinker fluid. Not sure if that's what caused that or not. Oh, Sanchez. Very lucky not to hit Sam head on there. Damn.
I burnt the right front out again. So
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Dover Motor Speedway and welcome to the Gladiator 120 right here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel for the Output Racing League. And should be a pretty good race around here. Twitchy cars, twitchy track conditions, and everyone is just about to get out there for a pit party. At the moment, we have 11 cars registered to race. Strength of field's currently sitting at a 2.8k. And it should be exciting times here, as it looks like we're going to have 9 of them out there for the pit party. Got one car that's decided to stay in the pits back there, and I think that is a 42 David Stryker. The front row is going to be Corey Cook, and on his outside will be Travis Massia. A little bit of disparity between the two lanes here. And we're off and racing. Outside line got severely hindered there from Massia being so far back. We look at these guys navigating this track. It's a very difficult track at the moment. It's hot, it's slick. Cars are tight and loose simultaneously. You don't want to get into the gas too much or else you'll be driving it like a sprint car. Side by side is Hernandez and Pizzakemi, and 3 wide goes Chris Champeau. If you've got to try something like that, then practice is definitely the time to do it. As it looks like Travis Massia is starting to get a little bit of gusto about him. Current top time is set by Thomas Harmon at 22.786. Brian Pizzakemi is the man in second. TJ Crampton third, Chris Champeau fourth, and Travis Massia sitting in fifth. And around goes Pizzakemi off the nose of Hernandez. And who didn't see that one coming? A little bit of post-wreck road rage as well. We'd love to see it. They're still sitting down there at the bottom of turn 3. James Watson in the new look number 39 car. Oh, as TJ Crampton's gone around on the front straight, and he has caused all kinds of mayhem for Chris Champeau and Travis Massia. Champeau still continuing on. There's Thomas Harmon, our current top time sitter. Got Jonas Marquez behind him, who was down in 10th. And in front of him is James Watson in 9th. As Watson gets overtaken there quite quickly. Harmon's really showing the pace that he's got around here. We've only got about 10.5 minutes left in practice. Honestly, around this track, these guys are going to need every second they can get to practice this track. As I said, it's a combination of tight and loose. If you go too hard into the corner, you're going to be battling tight. Oh, big punt from Jonas Marquez that time. As Watson practices pit entry. Very difficult pit road too. Very slow speeds. Definitely will probably catch a couple people out if we get green flag pit stops. Probably look to people pulling off on the entry to 3 to go into the pits. Because Miles the Monster is very hungry and he is looking to consume some race cars here tonight. There's David Stryker in the 42. He's still got the 24 in his car unless I need to update the paints. Around goes the 7 of Kyle Kraus, who still is yet to set a time. There's a 67 Corey Cook. He's practicing his pit entry. Oh, Thomas. That's a speeding penalty. It looks like we're just getting mostly single car runs right now as Kyle Kraus again struggling with the car and the conditions. Can't quite get a handle on it coming out of the pits. The Chris Champeau, who did just come out of the pits, he's swooping high in turn 3 and 4 to get a good run down the straight. David Stryker, who's just coming out of the pits as his car fades to white. It still says he's running to 24. So we'll have to have a word to him after the race to make sure he gets that fixed. '92 Chris Champeau always looks strong. A little bit of fence ride in there for the 42-24 car. As Thomas Harmon goes flying past him, he grinds to a halt on the inside wall. Got just under 7 minutes left, which is actually still quite the considerable amount of laps. Just under 20 laps you can get in that time, because these guys are doing sub 25 second laps, and mostly 22s and 23s from what I can see. There's still plenty of time to get out there on track and get a feel for the car on the track. And get 3 laps in just over a minute. David Stryker currently sitting in the 9th position. Kyle Kraus has jumped up to 7th after not setting the time for so long. There's a 42-24 David Stryker. Oh, Corey Cook's got all kinds of wrong on the front straight there. Fortunately for him, he could not pull off the Jimmy Johnson and slammed into the fence. Kraus in the 7. Looks smooth. David Striker, not so much. As bits of his car go flying off all over the place. Oh, right in front of Thomas Harmon. Nowhere to go. Have about 10 laps left, which is just under 3.5 minutes. Oh, so once again, Harmon and Striker make contact. This time coming out of turn 2, sorry. And Harmon is the one who fell victim to that one. So I think that was more Harmon got got tight on exit. Still Harmon, Pizzicami, Crampton, Champo, and Masia as your top 5. There's Cook, Kraus, Hernandez, Striker, and Watson filling out your top 10. Jonas Marquez sitting in 11th. Look at the closing speed Champo has on Marquez there. It's also a big difference in tyres. Chris is on 4 lap old tyres. So they're nice and warm, where Jonas, this is only his second completed lap on these tyres. So they're still in the process of warming up. We now have less than 2 minutes to go in the session. Oh, James Watson has had an oopsie on the back straight, coming out of 2. This will be everyone's final chance to get out there on track now and get a pit entry in if they so wish. Riker makes his way back out onto the track. We are now less than a minute away from the end of practice here. Which means only one thing. Qualifying will be up next, which means we are going to be going to a commercial break. And when we come back, we will be seeing the results of qualifying as we go to start the race. So make sure you guys stay tuned. More action here from the Gladiator 120 at the Dover Motor Speedway will be coming your way shortly. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Welcome back to the Gladiator 120 right here from the Dover Motor Speedway. Qualifying is complete and our grid has been set. And starting off the pole, if I can get a decent camera angle, that's what I have to do, will be the 72 of TJ Crampton. And on his outside will be the 92 of Chris Champeau. Starting out of third will be the 39 of James Watson. And a fourth will be the 13 of Travis Massier. Out of P5, we will have the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez, and on his outside will be the 61 of Corey Cook. P7 will be the 7 of Carl Kraus, with P8 the 38 of Thomas Harmon. P9 will be the 42-24 of David Stryker, and P10 the 64 of Jonas Marquez. And starting from last will be the 78 of Brian Pezzakemi. So that is our 11 drivers to kick off the racing tonight. 2.8k strength of field, including myself. It's time for us to send these cars off so we can get this race underway. Cars roll out onto the track. There's a Speedway Memes Motorsports 72 on the pole. We go and roll through turn 3 and 4. 120 laps here at the Dover Motor Speedway for these drivers to try and negotiate, and plenty of chances for things to go wrong. The pace car is going to make that hard left turn into the pits. The first start is on green. All the restarts will be on the leader in the restart zone.
Go, go, go. Green flag.
And we're rough and racing. Fairly even start there from our front row. Chris Champeau on the outside trying to hold on and maybe even take first away. But TJ Crampton, with all the speed on the inside line, is going to take the lead through turn 2, as it looks like everyone has navigated turns 1 and 2 safely the first time around. And it looks like we're starting a single file out here a little bit. I'm surprised by Thomas Harmon not getting the greatest of qualifying efforts in. He has moved his way up into P6 already. As we already have 2 laps in the books, this should be a fairly quick race if we don't get any cautions. Let's set the camera to focus on crashes, see what we've got going on. We've got move for second going on as James Watson is running wide, and he is going to drop all the way down to 5th, possibly even 6th, as they still continue to thunder up his inside, and he is now going to slot down in front of Corey Cook. And it looks like James Watson just not having fun here at all. He's dropping all the way to the back of the pack. Going to let everyone through. Big Corey Cook trailing on the tail of Thomas Harmon. He's going to try and make a move here for 5th if he can. There is the 42-24 David Stryker. And let's see what David Stryker can do around here. Notable absence actually of the actual 24, Frank Isaacson. Surprising not to see him racing here tonight. As it looks like the field is just all single filed out here. No one really trying to make any moves. As the 39 James Watson is not just trailing off the back of the field, he's lost a lot of time. He is out of the draft. as a long train starting to form behind Thomas Harmon. I'm pretty sure Thomas here saving a little bit tyres for later in the run, expecting us to go for a long green flag run here. So we'll see how this is going to work out, because tyre conservation is key around this track if you can get it. But this is a snarling pack behind him, and someone's going to have to make a move here shortly if they want to try and improve their position. So Corey Cook peeking to the inside, and he's going to get there on Thomas Harmon this time. Thomas probably won't be too fussed about this with the tyre conservation mode that he's in. He knows he's buried in the pack a little bit, and he wants to try and play it safe. Doesn't want to get involved in anything too unnecessary, as he lets David Stryker by and immediately jumps into lane. It's like the 78 Brian Pizzicami going for a move as well on the 13 of Travis Massia. Massia is just going to slot back in behind him. Corey Cook doesn't know the meaning of the words tyre conservation. He's starting to thunder off away from these guys, bringing David Stryker with him. And very shortly we should be starting to see some cars getting a little bit loose here, as I think we've had a change for the lead. We have Chris Champeau's taking the lead over TJ Crampton. Not sure if there was a mistake there from Crampton or not, but that gap has already opened up to half a second. This goes back to what I was saying before about some people not so good at tyre conservation over others. I think one of the times we raced here actually came down to fuel strategy, which was ultimately won by Brian Chambliss, who we haven't seen for a few weeks. Now it's almost a second, the gap between our first and second place drivers. We're going to go back to focusing on the middle of the field here. And Brian Pizzicami right up on the tail of Thomas Harmon now. And Thomas Harmon has actually closed the gap between himself and Stryker. Corey Cook looks like he's slowed up the pace a little bit. Obviously tyres starting to wear out already for some of these drivers, and for others they're just starting to come in. Down into turns 1 and 2 they go. Drivers have really been complaining about the transitions into and out of the corners, especially turn 3 here. One driver described it as jumping off a cliff into the corner. And we were just about to put him on concussion protocol, but we decided better of it. He passed all the tests. But already 16 and a half laps into this race, almost completed 17 as we come out of turns 3 and 4 this time. You can see Thomas Harmon stalking Stryker all over his rear bumper there. Oh, you see Stryker got a little bit loose coming out of turn 2. Going to be the opening that Harmon needs to get in front of him. And Stryker made that move very easy for Thomas. Now Thomas is going to make the march towards Corey Cook. Got a great crowd in attendance. Much better than what we had the last time we came here. Dover had actually demolished the grandstands the last time we were here. So it's good to see them all rebuilt and the stands absolutely packed. Look at David Stryker now. He's going to be under pressure from Brian Pizzakemi shortly. Pizzakemi is no pushover. If he gets a sniff of a move, he'll take it. Oh, I think I just saw Corey Cook getting loose. He did. The camera cut weirdly away from him there as he was getting loose. He's lost position to Thomas Harmon. He's going to allow Stryker and Pizzakemi through as well. Looks like he's gathered it back up though. Comes Travis Massio looking for the inside move as well. Corey Cook holding on the outside line there. Might be something in that outside line later on for some of these drivers. That's just given the 38 Thomas Harmon a whole lot of clean air in front of him. He's 1.3 back from Kyle Kraus. I'd expect to see this gap close up quite considerably in the next few laps. And that's not a comment on Kyle Kraus, that's more of a comment on Thomas Harmon. So I think in the background, just saw Jonas Marquez bounce off the wall a little bit. And Corey Cook has actually lost out on a whole bunch of time. He's quarter of a lap behind the 39 of James Watson. But Chris Champeau starting to fall back into the clutches of TJ Crampton and Jonathan Hernandez here. The gap was out to over a second. Has now come down to just over half a second. I saw side by side there in the background, Pizzakemi and Stryker. Not sure whether that was Pizzakemi making an outside move or Stryker attempting an inside move and not pulling it off. That's close racing at the moment. And there's at least two drivers out there that will be hoping for a caution. Go back up to our second place battle here between Crampton and Hernandez. Kyle Kraus literally just behind them. But this could end up being a three-way fight for second here very shortly. But all in all three of these guys are catching our leader, Chris Champeau. He may have burnt his tyres up a little bit here, just trying to establish a gap. And they're not faster than him by much. 3/100ths of a second last lap. But it still gains nonetheless. It looks like James Watson's starting to close in on the back of the field here a little bit. He was much further off the last car in the line, but he is starting to close that gap, so he must have been conserving his tyres a little bit while he was back there playing hooky with himself. And looks like we've had a change of position as well. Travis Massio has moved up to 7th. David Stryker down to 8th. Actually still a tight little battle there, as Jonas Marquez is in this little group as well. Go back up to our battle for second though. But Crampton's starting to pull away from Hernandez. And his progress against Champo has just been halted here a little bit. Thomas Harmon has been closing the gap steadily between himself and Kraus. And I think we are going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more racing action here from the Gladiator 120 over Motor Speedway shortly. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Welcome back to the Gladiator 120 here at the Dover Motor Speedway, and Chris Champo still leading the way at the moment. But the gap between himself and TJ Crampton definitely starting to come down here a little bit. As the tyres start to wear out, this is where the guys who conserve tyres will really start to be coming into their own. You can see Chris Champo running the higher line, unable to keep it on the bottom. TJ Crampton doing what he can to get down there and get it going. Got a move on there at the back. That was James Watson, who has made it back into the back of the pack. Starting to make his move up the field a little bit as he's been saving his tyres. Jonathan Hernandez, who has fallen off the back of Crampton here a little bit, will have to deal with Kyle Kraus here shortly. Let's go back up to look at this battle for the lead that we've got going on. TJ Crampton has definitely closed it right in. Corey Cook, the first one to go for a pit. He's hoping fresher tyres will help him out here earlier in the run. See if he's right or not. Oh, there's a little bit of a slide there for TJ Crampton. Coming out of turn 4, so his tyre's starting to go off. This is the longest anyone's done a run on tyres. As I think Corey Cook might actually have damage. He's been in the pits for a long time. Currently sitting at 105 seconds in the pits. And he's just come out of the pit lane now, officially 106 seconds he spent in the pit lane there. As our leaders come around his outside to put him now 4 laps down. He's going to stay low, keep out of everyone's way as much as he can. And it looks like Thomas Harmon has gotten around Kyle Kraus. He's going to start making a march towards Jonathan Hernandez here. Let's set the camera to focus on crashes, see where we land. And we're looking at Kyle Kraus, who did just get overtaken by Thomas Harmon not long ago. We should expect to see some pit stops here shortly. We're just about at lap 50. I reckon within the next 10 laps, we'll probably start seeing some green flag stops. Unless we get a caution. But it's also very possible that we see this race go flag to flag. Corey Cook on his fresher tyres is trying to come back through the field, get at least one of his laps back, as he's right on the tail of Pizzacemi. And it looks like Cranton has backed off from Champeau here a little bit. The gap's gone back out to 1.2 seconds between those two. This is the period of the race where we're just waiting. I think Marquez has made a mistake on the front straight here. Going very slow. I think he might have had a big snap of oversteer going out of that final corner. And it looks like he's going to come into the pits this time. There may be a little bit of damage on the 64 machine as well. Autism, it's not for wimps. 64 car. He's also got the ASPCA on his car. Kyle Kraus is getting monstered here. Corey Cook and Brian Pizzacemi both getting around him. Corey Cook blitzing the field on his fresher tyres. But he is 4 laps down, don't forget. As you see, Kyle Kraus now getting around Jonathan Hernandez, who is sitting in 4th. He got passed by Thomas Harmon at some point that we missed. As we now have 65 laps to go when the leader comes to the line this time. Means we are edging ever closer to the halfway marker in this race. Marquez has been in the pits for just about 2 minutes, so he's definitely looking after some damage on that 64 car. He's now gone 5 laps down. It won't be so bad when he comes out of the pits because all the leaders still have to pit yet. So he'll get a couple of them back at least. Currently looking at Pizzacemi, he's sitting in the 5th position, back up to Corey Cook. 4 laps down in 10th. And it looks like the 42.24 of David Stryker has gone to the pits. He says this is close enough to halfway for me. Going to try and get some track position with fresher tyres. As long as he doesn't get a penalty, that is. See Corey Cook trying to work over TJ Crampton, who is our second place driver. Crampton gives him the space and allows him to make the overtake. As we now reach the halfway point, 60 laps down, 60 laps to go. And we're only 21 and a half minutes into this race, so this should be a very quick race if we don't get any cautions. David Stryker has been in the pits for a while here as well, so he might have some damage that he's got to get fixed. Currently sitting at a minute 25 in the pits that he's spent so far. See him moving in the pit lane, so he'll be back on track shortly. Corey Cook has overtaken him for position though. Means Corey Cook now up into 9th. As David Stryker is 4 laps down and towards the tail of the field. James Watson and Kyle Kraus are having a battle for position. So I think that's because Kyle Kraus is going to make his way into the pits. And Corey Cook is just about to pass our leader here to get one of his laps back. We'll put him at only 3 laps down. Kyle Kraus goes for his first lap down, being in the pits. And you see Chris Champeau there facilitating the move for Corey Cook. And it's still a 1 second gap between Champeau and Crampton. Champeau looking after his tyres better than I thought he was before. Doing a good job of it. He's not allowing Crampton to get too much closer than the 1 second mark. As Kyle Kraus has come out of the pits, he's currently 2 laps down. And the theory for some of these drivers will be stay out as long as you can. Don't pit unless you desperately have to. And try and hope for a caution. But it's also to hope that they are not the ones to become the caution. Now it's just a waiting game to see how long it's going to take before some of these drivers start coming into the pits. It's still Champeau, Crampton, Harmon, Hernandez. Hernandez actually with the fastest lap of the race as well, a 23.198. Surprised about that. I thought someone might have been in the 22s. You see Hernandez is actually getting hounded here from Pizzakemi. This is the battle for 4th. Kyle Kraus behind them is 2 laps down, but he's on fresher tyres after pitting. Kraus is hedging his bet that we're not going to get a caution. And everyone's going to have to do a green flag stop. As I think Jonathan Hernandez just bounced off the wall a little bit there on the back straight. Going to slow him up a little bit, put a little bit of damage on the car. Oh, and he gets loose coming out of turn 4. Here comes David Stryker as well. That's going to nullify any attempt Pizzakemi would have had at trying to make a move there. As Chris Champeau, our leader, has come into the pits. On lap 70, he reckons the tyres have had enough, and he's bringing it in. He's going to give Crampton the lead back once more. So with that, we will only have 6 cars left on the lead lap, as these two now unofficially battling over third. So Champeau's just come out of the pits. He's only the 1 lap down at the moment. And he's going to come out around Corey Cook, who is on much older tyres than he is at the moment. As Thomas Harmon getting overtaken here by Kraus and Stryker. That's the difference in tyres right there. Looks like Cook got around Champeau as he was coming out of the pits. Kraus and Champeau just about on the same lap. They will be once Kraus gets around TJ Crampton here, our leader. Crampton runs high to facilitate both of them going under him. Pulls straight back down into the racing line. A lot of smoke there on the back straight. But no one has crashed though. We've got no caution. We're edging ever closer to the 3/4 distance in this race. And Crampton's in the pits. For the first time, this means that the 38... Oh, look at the pit entry. The 88 Jonathan Hernandez might have a speeding penalty. But Harmon and Massey are the only 2 cars left to pit, as Crampton, Watson, Hernandez and Pizzakemi all pit at the same time. Guess we'll wait and see, as now Thomas Harmon comes into the pits. This will give the lead to the 13 of Travis Massio, who stays on track. And he actually officially led that lap too. So that's some bonus points heading Travis Massey's way. We saw there TJ Crampton coming out of the pits. Massey continuing to stay out on track. Champeau and Kraus both pass Harmon. So your order is currently unofficially Champeau, Kraus, Crampton, Harmon, Watson. As Massio, who's still in the lead, has not pitted yet. So we'll take that one with a grain of salt for now. Looks like Crampton actually had a fairly slow stop in comparison to the rest of the guys in the top 5. 49-second stop for Crampton compared to 47s for Kraus, Harmon and Watson. Currently looking at Watson right now, as not doing too well by the looks of things. There's Kraus. He's got now 17 lap old tyres. He's got the leader just in front of him, Travis Massio. Chris Champeau has already gotten his lap back. Here comes Kraus now to get his back. David Stryker will get one of his back. Stryker still 3 laps down. That made that 2 laps down. Stryker actually with the fastest lap of the race too, 23.165. Let's have a look at our leader, see if he's going to pit this time by. Got 81 laps on his tyres. And he's not coming in yet. It is very possible that he's going to try and go to the end. It all depends on how his fuel's doing. Here comes TJ Crampton to make an overtake on him to get back onto the lead lap. But we are going to go for a commercial break. When we come back, we will be going to the checkered flag. So make sure you guys stay tuned. And welcome back to the Gladiator 120 here from the Dover Motor Speedway. Travis Massia still leading the way. As we finally get the ticket to work. We actually had it activated this whole time. It just needed to be refreshed. And here comes Travis Massia now into the pits on lap 88. This is going to guarantee that the 92 of Chris Champeau is going to take back the lead as he swoops around Travis Massia, who is in the pit lane. This will put Kyle Kraus second, TJ Crampton in third. About a 1.5 second gap between Champeau and Kraus. Don't expect that to come down anytime soon with the age of Kraus's tyres. Should also see Crampton start to close in on Kraus a little bit here, maybe. As we only have 30 laps left to run in this race now. And we have 7 cars on the lead lap. Travis Massia is the first car lap down. I can hear tyres screeching. Don't know who that was. I think that might have been Kraus. I'm not completely sure. He lost a boatload of time that time. I think he got a little bit loose coming out of turn 4. Set the camera back to focusing on crashes. Let's see what we look at. See our 7th place driver, James Watson, the last car on the lead lap. He's got Jonas Marquez just behind him, who is currently 21 laps down. It's unfortunate for Marquez. There's Kraus getting around Cook. Kraus is still holding on to the 2nd place quite nicely, but 2.5 seconds back from Champeau now. And another 1.9 behind him is Crampton. Crampton, one of the hot favourites coming into this race. Both Crampton and Harmon with a 50% win ratio here. both of them with 100% top 5 and top 10 ratings. The last time we were here in the next gen cars, Thomas Harmon actually came out with the win. As we are getting ever closer to the end of this race, we are almost at 25 laps to go. In fact, we're 25 laps to go as soon as Chris Champeau gets to the start finish line, which is right there, as he puts Marquez another lap down. 22 laps down for Marquez now. And it looks like we have battle for second brewing, as there's Kraus and Kraus and Crampton, sorry. And here goes Crampton with the move up the inside. Kraus has no answer for him, as Kraus has 13 lap older tires, and it does make a huge difference in these cars. Back to focusing on crashes, and it looks like we're going to be focusing on Hernandez, who is in a little bit of a battle of his own here with Pizzakemi. This is the battle for the top 5. Hernandez in 5th, Pizzakemi P6. And these are valuable points on the line for both of these drivers. They're also starting to catch up to David Stryker, who is 2 laps down in 9th. He's the only driver 2 laps down. Corey Cook is the only driver 3 laps down. Oh, and it looks like it was just about contact that time between Stryker and Pizzakemi coming out of turn 2. Very close quarters. And at a track like Dover, anything can happen. And it usually does. We now have just 20 laps left to run in this race, as our leader, Chris Champeau, just completed lap 100. Fastest lap of this race now belongs to Brian Pizzakemi as well, a 25.14. Sorry, 23.14. I'm an idiot. Apparently my fastest race pace is a 23.3. As Corey Cook just about clouded the wall there a little bit in front of Jonathan Hernandez. That allowed a few people to get around him, and here comes the 13 of Travis Massier on his much fresher tyres than everyone else. And he's probably going to make the move here on Pizzakemi and Hernandez shortly. He's going around the outside of Pizzakemi. Couldn't get the move made. He's going to just slot in behind him, maybe go for an inside run going into turn 3 and 4 this time. As that little stoush with Massier on the outside really slowed up Pizzakemi, opened up the gap between himself and Hernandez. It's now out to 1 second. So lap cars playing a factor in the racing here. Massier has a long way to go if he wants to get back onto the lead lap. The leader is just under 1/3 of the track behind him. He's got 2/3 of the track to try and catch up here. He's now catching up to Jonathan Hernandez. There's the 39 James Watson. He's currently 7th, last car in the league lap still. A handy little buffer between himself and the leader. As he gets around Corey Cook, who had a lot of pace earlier when he had fresher tyres, but now it seems his pace has dropped off. Cook and Striker, who was separated by 1 lap. As it looks like Masia has gotten around Hernandez now. And he got around him a lot cleaner and a lot faster than he got around Pizzicami. That's also telling the times, as Hernandez has actually caught Kraus by 0.4 of a second that last lap. An 8.4 second gap between Kraus and Hernandez, so I'm not sure whether he'll be able to close that gap in time or not. Especially not as tyres start to equal out in performance. Chris Champeau with a 1.5 second lead over Crampton at the moment. And there's also 1 lap car separating them. That's the 64 Jonas Marquez, who since Champeau's overtook him and put him 22 laps down, just been chilling there in his draft, just, you know, relaxing. Not pushing too hard, not pushing too little. As there goes Corey Cook, who seems to have a few things wrong with his automobile. He's going very slowly now. I think he's caught the wall a couple of times since we last caught up with him. And that's just been severely affecting his performance here. He's got 10 laps to go. 110 complete, 10 left in this race. And this race has been going flag to flag so far. No cautions whatsoever. Race Labs predicted this race would take about 46 minutes, and I think it's pretty spot on, as we're sitting at the 42.5 minute mark. And there is the 42.24 David Stryker. Like he's trying to make his way back down to the pits. A little bit of extra damage on that car. Either that or he's just trying to be as out of the way as possible. Thomas Harmon sitting there in third hasn't really been a factor in this race at all. Started deep in the field and just couldn't really get going like we usually see him. As the gap between first and second has closed down to 1.2 seconds now. Crampton was just about 0.2 faster than Champeau on the last lap. Marquez opens the door, allows Crampton through, that he can try and challenge Champeau here in the closing stages. Got 6 laps to go. Can Crampton get an unlikely victory here? Crampton with 5 lap fresher tyres than Champeau. The performance should be equalised, but it all depends on how they've been looking after their tyres here in this run. They come out of turn 4, hit the line. They got 5 laps left in this race now. This is starting to get exciting. Crampton gained 0.2 on Champeau that lap. The gap is just about nothing. 4 to go. Thomas Harmon 1.9 seconds back behind Crampton. So he's, as I said, a non-factor in this race. Come out of turn 4. It's going to be 3 laps left to run in this race now. I think Crampton's starting to feel the effects of the draft. It's getting a little aero tight. Not really making the speed that he was a couple laps ago. Two to go this time at the line. It's the penultimate lap. And if Crampton wants to try and get this win. He's going to have to do it here very shortly, because Champo is not going to give him the room to make the move. As we come out of turn 4 for the penultimate time, it's going to be white flag, last lap, last chance to win it or wear it for Chris Champo and TJ Crampton. And look at the closing speed of Crampton this time. He's pushing really hard. Coming out of turn 2, I don't think he's got the legs for it. It's 2/10 the gap. He's going to have to do something special here in 3 and 4 to try and get there. And he is just about there. He's not going to get it. Coming out of turn 4, your winner here at Dover for the Gladiator 120. It's going to be the 92 of Chris Champo. Second place goes to the hard charging TJ Crampton. And third was the 38 of Thomas Harmon. Fourth place goes to the 7 of Kyle Kraus, with fifth being the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez. Looks like Brian Pizzakemi fell off a little bit in the pace. He's only just crossed the line now. But what an intense way to finish this race. The battle was so close there for those last few laps. But Chris Champo ultimately coming out on top and taking home the W here at Dover. His second win at Dover in the Output Racing League. As it looks like he needs a little bit more practice with the burnouts, but he's just going to put it up against the wall and burn it down old school styles. With that, we are going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we will have driver interviews, so make sure you guys stay tuned. Alrighty, it is time now for driver interviews. And as always, we kick things off with our Autism Awareness Hard Charger Award. And today's Hard Charger Award winner is also our third place getter. Of course, it is going to be the 38 of Mr. Thomas Harmon. Thomas, not the qualifying performance we used to see out of you, but definitely a great fight back through the field. What happened there in qualifying to put you so far down the pack?
I was trying to set myself up for a decent run on the second lap, and coming out of 4, I caught the wall pretty hard and ruined any shot I had to get in the pole, which I think I would have had it. I was up 2.5 tenths on my optimal lap, and it just caught the wall.
All right, now let's talk about the race. You look like you were conserving tires pretty early in the first run, and then started fighting your way through the field. What was it like trying to fight your way through the field with the tire conservation, especially with how difficult on tires this track is?
A lot more difficult than what I hoped. Dirty Air played a real big factor tonight. When you got it close to somebody, and about half a second back, it was plowing tight. And then whenever you get out from behind him, it'd be snap loose because the wheel you had to put into it. Um, so I just once I saw open track when we come out of the pit for that second run, I pushed it a lot harder than what I did, and it felt a lot better too because I had clean air on the nose.
Now, we were just talking a little bit as the advert was going on there. You had a little bit of a tough time with the pits. You were planning on pitting a little bit earlier than you did, but a little bit of drama ahead of you coming into the pit lane.
Yeah, TJ lost it coming off the track and was sideways on pit road when I went by, so I had to. I was coming down with him. I was planning on pitting on 75 regardless, uh, but I was going to pit with him. And once I saw he was sideways blocking the entrance, I had no choice but to abort my stop, and that cost me a huge chunk of time. Went in 1.3 behind and came out 7 behind, so that really hurt.
Right, now let's just talk about the ending part of that race. A lot of people on different tire strategies, and sometimes you would catch a couple of the lap cars, other times the lap cars would catch you. What was it like trying to juggle passing people and getting passed by people as you're coming down to those final few laps?
Fortunately, the lap cars were pretty cordial in letting us by. Um, as far as getting past, they picked nice spots to pass, and I didn't have to break my line too much. It just the dirty air that they gave off when they got by was a little contentious there for a couple laps.
All right, now let's look forward towards next week, Thomas. Gonna be going to the high, wide, and handsome Kansas Speedway. What's the feeling like for you as we head to Kansas?
I enjoy Kansas, so hopefully it'll be a good race. Hopefully I can get back on the winners column.
All right, Thomas, before we let you go here tonight, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to you, Open Booth, for broadcasting it to everybody. All the drivers that show up week in, week out, all the fans that show up and watch, and all the league admins and Jaron for putting on the league, and Apple on the hood.
All right, Thomas, thank you very much for coming out, mate. Congratulations on coming home third with the Hard Charger Award, although it probably should have been a little bit higher. And we look forward to seeing what you can do next week when we go to Kansas.
Sounds good. I'll be there, Corey.
All right, guys, that was the 38 Thomas Harmon, our third place getter and our Autism Awareness Hard Charger Award winner. Coming up next, we are going to have our second place getter, and today's second place goes to the 72 of TJ Crampton. TJ, just a pretty stock standard race there for you. You hung out in the lead for a little bit, you hung out in second for the rest of it, but I was hearing from Thomas a little bit of trouble getting onto pit road for you, mate.
Yeah, spun out entering my pits, or entering pit road, and I kind of did like a half spin. I didn't fully spin out and had to turn around and get back going. I kind of just half spun it, and then pretty much just kept going. So I didn't lose as much time as I thought, which was good. But apparently that's did not help Thomas. So apologize to him. Definitely did not mean to. Um, just a little loose getting onto pit road. I had my brake bias a little bit too far back.
All right, now let's look at the end of the race there. You were closing in on Chris Champeau in the final stages of this race. But it looked like at one point, once you really got into his draft, after you got around Jonas, the car really just seemed to stall out there with the aero effects that the front car has on the rear car. What was like? What was that like for you, knowing that you were so bitterly close to getting the win?
Yeah, I wanted it bad, but Chris definitely deserved it. He put on a good race today, and yeah, I was catching, and then I got around Jonas, and I think I burned off my rears too much because when I caught him, I just started getting extremely loose, and um, the few laps to go, I just kind of told myself calm down. Let's try to do a push. So I tried to go again, and last lap I had a last ditch effort, and it almost got it just a little loose off the four.
Yeah, we saw you drifting out of turn four. It looked like a little bit of fun. But let's look forward towards next week now, as we're going to be going to the High Bank High Line Kansas Speedway. What's the feeling like for you as we head into Kansas week?
Not a big fan. Mostly I'm not great there statistically at Kansas. I don't feel like, and I've just Kansas is just meh. I don't like running the high side that much at Kansas, and with this car, it bottoms out on the high side, so it's just so you got to get it right every time. And um, hopefully, I've had a good season so far this season. Maybe the tide will change at Kansas. I hope so, but gonna have to wait and see.
All right, TJ, before we let you go here tonight, mate, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
I want to thank you for broadcasting. I want to thank the league for putting on this series. It's very fun to be in. I want to thank Extreme Mufflers, Team Watson Racing Setups, and Speedway Memes Media.
All right, thank you very much for coming out, TJ. Congratulations on coming home, P2. Forward to seeing what you can do next week at Kansas.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that was our second place getter, 72 of TJ Crampton. Coming up next, we are going to have our winner. It's been a while since we've seen him in Victory Circle, and we are all the better for it. Of course, it is the 92 of Chris Champeau. Chris, once you got the lead, mate, you just looked very dominant out there. How did it feel from you in the driver's seat?
It was good. It was good. I don't think we broadcast last weekend, but last week, it was me and TJ, and it was basically like me and him for 90% of the race, and I got right behind him but couldn't pass him. And then the car just got aero tight, and I blew the tires off. And I pit really early to get in clean air, and then he pit like a lap after me and was right in front of me again. So last week it was kind of the other way, and I just couldn't get around him. And so when I had the opportunity to go, he was kind of like, I don't know, we were like, I don't know, 15 laps in, and I wasn't really sure what he was doing. He kind of started slowing off. I think he was trying to save tires. I was like, I don't care if I burn him up. I just need to get some clean air and get in front of him. So that's what I did. And then it drove really great most of that whole first run. And I was like, oh, okay, this is great. And then I think Cookie pit like at lap 40 or something. He gets in front of me and just kind of sits right in front of me, and in like 3 laps the tires just died because it was all aero push, and I was not prepared for that. So everyone caught right back up, and I pit probably, I don't know, maybe a half a second in front of TJ, maybe not even that. So in the second run it was good. I was scared shitless that TJ was going to get me, but I think another lap or two and he would have had me for sure.
It definitely looked like it was going to come down to the wire there, especially at the end. But how much did lap traffic really play into it? Because we noticed, with people being on different tire strategies, it was a bit of a juggling act between you guys catching people and then guys on fresher tires from back in the pack catching you guys. What was it like trying to balance that all out and just deal with the aero differences with the car?
It really wasn't too bad. Like I said, the biggest time I really saw it affect me was when Cookie got new tires on that first run. Uh, and I had been kind of, when you don't have that arrow push, you can really lean on the back right coming off of turns 2 or 4. But once you get that arrow push, it acts like it's going to do it, and then it just goes right towards the wall. And I had to get out of it so many times in that end of that first run that it was rough. But that was really the only time. I think I'm sure we passed and lapped some people along the way, but honestly, I don't remember it really being that much of a thing.
All right, Chris. Now let's look forward towards next week, mate. We're going to be going to the Kansas Speedway. What's it feeling like for you as we head to the high, wide, and handsome Kansas Speedway?
I haven't even thought about it. Kansas, that's where you run the wall, I think.
Yeah.
Well, if we can not hit the wall, we'll probably do good. I think I do fairly okay at Kansas, I think. I like Kansas. I don't think I've ever raced him in the next gen car, so curious how that is. Because, like, the thing with the next gen car is, like, if you start, like, normally at Kansas, I remember, like, in the trucks or wherever, you kick the back end a little bit. If it gets a little loose, you just let off the gas or whatever, and it straightens back out. With these cars, that back end starts to come around. It's going to snap back on you, and if you're at the wall already, that seems like a good way to break a toe link. So maybe next week will be a little excitement. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, Chris. Before we let you go here tonight, anyone want to give a quick shout out to?
Well, shout out to the guys that showed up. I mean, we only had like 11 guys, which is awesome. 11 guys showed up, but where's the rest of the league? Come on, guys, let's go.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming out, Chris. Congratulations on coming home with a win, and thank you for giving that subtle, not so subtle little call out to everyone else in the league who should have been here but wasn't.
Yeah,
and
right.
we look forward to seeing what you can do next week when we go to Kansas.
All right, buddy.
All right, guys. That was tonight's winner, the 92 of Mr. Chris Champo, and what an emphatic win it was. He's a great driver, great dude, and we look forward to seeing what he can do next week. But speaking of that, this will be the end of our broadcast here for this week. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you to all the drivers who showed up tonight when quite clearly a lot of them didn't. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week when we go to Kansas. So until then, I've been your commentator, the Aussie Sim commentator. See you guys in Kansas.